LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga might be the most visually appealing LEGO game. Textures are detailed, models are realistic, and the lighting adds impressive depth. When you walk your character through sand or snow, the game model will reflect that. It actually looks like there are real-life LEGO minifigures moving through my screen. Visually, LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga is nearly perfect. However, video games are more than just visual. I think that most people who play video games would agree that gameplay actually takes precedence over graphics or even art design. Not to say that visuals should be ignored, but what makes the medium of video games worth experiencing is the gameplay aspect that puts the player in charge of the experience. When video games first started out, this was obvious. While fun, many video game visuals were simplistic, partly due to the technological constraints of the time. However, as technology has improved, the focus on gameplay has shifted away in favor of increasingly sophisticated graphics. LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga has sold millions of copies, and to this day has hundreds of concurrent players, even years after release. Is this success entirely due to the game's graphics? I think the obvious answer is of course not. For example, let's look at the newly released LEGO Horizon game. LEGO Horizons has a great art direction, and in my opinion may even rival the visuals of LEGO Star Wars. However, despite releasing only weeks ago, there are less than 30 concurrent players. There are probably a lot of factors that account for this difference in success between the two games, but I think the biggest reason why LEGO Star Wars succeeded where LEGO Horizon has failed has to do with the strength of the IP. LEGO Horizon is a decently successful IP with multiple well-selling games, but it does not come even close to the powerhouse that is Star Wars. 9 mainline movies, several shows, and multiple video games, all spanning over the course of decades. You would be hard-pressed to find someone who doesn't know what Star Wars is. So, with such a massive brand and the popularity of previous LEGO Star Wars games, some level of success was always inevitable. The game does rely on the existing popularity of the Star Wars brand. The problem with this is while it does attract a large Star Wars fan base, it cannot create new Star Wars fans. While LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga excels at the video aspect, it lacks somewhat in the game department. A beautiful game can get people in the door, but it won't keep them there for any serious amount of time. Using Steam achievements as a metric for how far into the game players get, we can see only 18.8% complete the last level, Episode 9. Now this may be in part due to the unpopularity of the sequels, but even so, looking at Episode 6, we can see only 29% complete it. Let's compare this to another LEGO game that uses another popular franchise, LEGO Marvel Superheroes. The final level, level 15, has a 34% completion rate. There are a few things that can account for this difference. The first and most obvious is, of course, playtime. According to HowLongToBeat.com, it takes about 18.5 hours to beat the main story of LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga, while LEGO Marvel Superheroes only takes 12.5 hours. However, assuming each episode of LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga takes about 2 hours to beat, then we can calculate that completing up to episode 6 takes about the same amount of time as completing the entire story of LEGO Marvel Superheroes. As mentioned earlier, episode 6 has a 29% completion rate. The difference between LEGO Marvel's 34% completion of the story and LEGO Star Wars Episode 6's 29% is 5%. I believe this is significant and accounts for the improved quality of gameplay in LEGO Marvel Superheroes. I have two theories that I believe account for this difference in gameplay and thus player retention. The first is novelty. At the time of release, LEGO Marvel Superheroes was a much more novel idea. LEGO Marvel Superheroes was the first LEGO game with Marvel characters, and the third LEGO game was Superheroes, LEGO Batman 1 and 2 being the first two. When LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga first released, there were already 5 LEGO Star Wars games: LEGO Star Wars 2, LEGO Star Wars The Complete Saga, LEGO Star Wars 3 The Clone Wars, and LEGO Star Wars The Force Awakens. LEGO Marvel Superheroes was a much more fresh concept and makes the game seem more novel and also more likely to retain players. The second reason is variety. LEGO Marvel Superheroes far exceeds LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga in character variety, at least in terms of their gameplay. LEGO Star Wars characters certainly do have much more variety in the way they look, but not necessarily in the way they play. All characters have basic movement and attacks. Some can use force abilities, which admittedly is the most fun part of the game. Characters with unique abilities, such as gliding or jetpacks, are severely limited, with gliding only being able to be done for a short amount of time and jetpacks only lasting a few seconds. LEGO Marvel Superheroes has much more variety in movement and abilities, with the inclusion of web swinging, gliding, and flying. In addition, abilities like character transformations, laser beams, projectiles, and explosions add a lot of variety for all the different characters. Meanwhile, in LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga, characters are grouped into classes, and each class has basically the exact same gameplay. Now, this isn't to say that the core gameplay of LEGO Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga is bad. It's nearly identical to the gameplay of LEGO Marvel Superheroes. Both games involve solving simple puzzles and combat encounters using different characters' abilities. The thing is, LEGO Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga came out 9 years ago after LEGO Marvel Superheroes, so naturally, if you've been keeping up with the LEGO games, the gameplay can start to feel stale. What was fresh and novel at the time is now old and outdated. I think the Force ability in the game is implemented quite well, and the puzzles involving the Force are super rewarding. I believe the game could have been improved by giving other character abilities equal amounts of depth. Expanding jetpack length and control could have led to fun platforming challenges, or making a usable grappling hook with realistic rope physics could have also led to rewarding puzzles. Even though the Force is really fun, the other abilities in the game are completely flat in comparison. I love this game, and I've put over 50 hours into it. It's impossible to hate this game if you're a fan of LEGOs and or Star Wars. The problem is, the game relies too much on your love for Star Wars and LEGO, and does not do anything significant to make an above average gaming experience for those who have no connection to a pre-existing IP. I can tell the developers care about Star Wars with the extreme attention to detail in the game's visuals. I just can't help but feel LEGO Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga is a mediocre game with a beautiful coat of paint.